Hi, my name is Carl Bader, and this is my wife Sharon.
Hi.
Hey everybody, my name is Reverend Ken Beldon, and at the start of WellSprings, at its founding, I was the lead minister and also the CEO of the congregation.
We are Ron
and Regina
Notar.
I'm Tonie Scullion.
I'm Chris Chepel. I'm a founding member of WellSprings. If you attend our services, you may recognize me as a worship leader and lay preacher.
I've been a WellSprings member since 2008, along with my husband Andrew and our son Brian.
We came to WellSprings in the summer of 2007.
We've been attending WellSprings services since the very first service.
So even before WellSprings had the name WellSprings, we were just kind of an idea, hopeful or hoped for experiment. And I think our name back then, this is back in 2005, 2004 even, was the new Unitarian Universalist Congregation of North Central Chester County. Really poetic, right? We were brought into being in this particular geography because of three different groups who pledged time and money and resources very generously. And that was the regional gathering of Unitarian Universalists. It has a different name now, but back then it was called the Joseph Priestley District of the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. So this kind of region-wide group. And then the UUA itself, headquartered in Boston, the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations. And then one local congregation, which is Mainline Unitarian Church. All three of these groups partnered to bring this new congregation into being.
Reverend Ken Beldon was hired in August 2005, and he immediately began the process of launching WellSprings. After a series of focus groups, Reverend Ken invited 10 people into what we called the planting team.
It was comprised of myself and 11 other individuals who had a real hunger to grow a congregation from the very beginning, from gestation all the way up to and through birth. And about half that group had been Unitarian Universalists before, and about half that group, and this part was intentional, about half that group had never really been a part of a Unitarian Universalist congregation.
Together, we worked on understanding our local community and developed what we refer to as our DNA, our mission, vision, values, and beliefs, the why of WellSprings.
And it's not like the 12 of us were all, 11 of us were all sealed up in a room separate. We were talking to friends, we were talking to family, we were talking to potential stakeholders, people who were interested in this congregation. And with that core commitment, that discernment and identity formation were really important developmental steps that we just could not afford to skip.
Our congregational DNA is WellSpring's unique take on Unitarian Universalism. It is consistent with the UU principles, and it also highlights the aspects of our faith tradition that speak most to us as a community.
I think the deeper question, biggest hope, is that WellSprings would be a place of realness. I'm a person in long-term recovery. A lot of people at WellSprings know this. We wanted to be, I hoped that we could be the kind of congregation in which people could bring their hurting, healing hearts into and with spiritual community and find other people who are doing similar work. We wanted to be a place of not just intellectual freedom and freedom of belief, which is a beautiful, historical, core aspect of Unitarian Universalism. We also wanted to complement that by being a place in which people could be, real with each other, authentic and genuine with each other.
One day, out of the blue, showed up at Mainline Unitarian Church, and I heard Ken Beldon give a sermon. And I thought, wow, is this guy just talking to me? He can't be talking to anybody but me. And I thought, I have not heard anyone ever give a sermon like that in a religious place. I think Ken was talking to my heart, not my head. I think I needed to learn more about what my heart was telling me?
Well, we came from diverse religious backgrounds and were basically pretty comfortable living an unchurched lifestyle. And then we had 2 kids, and they were at that time like 6 and 8, 7 and 9-ish, right around that changeover. And they were coming home from school and asking questions like, what's church and who is Jesus? We thought, we better do something.
One Sunday, the 3 of us got in the car and drove out. We arrived during the first set of songs, and we stood outside for a little bit, trying to work up the nerve to go inside. The final push to get us through the doors was that our son had already entered Bell Hall and was jamming along to the band.
I'm extremely grateful for those folks within the UU community who had the vision of a new community in Chester County with a more progressive spirit and a progressive worship style. I think that is something that immediately attracted us when we first arrived.
I believe what hasn't changed over the years is that the constant theme that we all have a story, and we all have those human qualities that go with our story, and the ability for everyone to be able to share that story when it feels good, it feels right for them.
We've always been a service-oriented, spiritual community.
I think there have always been those opportunities to connect and deepen our connections with one another through our teams, our small groups, service to the community, both our own community and the greater community at large.
So reflecting on those very early days and then now, what do you think has changed?
When we first went, of course, it was a lot smaller group, and then it seemed to, within several years, become a couple of hundred people.
When we began attending services, all the members could fit in Bell Hall for one service. You pretty much knew everyone in the room. That's not the case anymore.
Honestly, it's wonderful. I see more inclusivity in the current WellSprings congregation, and I treasure that.
Everything about it has grown more robust. In the early days, it was just like early startup, and now there's a lot more structure around it. So I think that has changed, and I think it's more robust. And I think just a great example is how we have been able to deal with COVID and the crisis that it's put in, go remote worship and that sort of thing. It would have been difficult in those early years, something this big to deal with.
The biggest thing that I've noticed of late is the new people that are finding our denomination. I'm very impressed with them. It's like they really found the treasure, and they're really participating in many different ways. I'm hearing, seeing many good things from them since they've joined the congregation. Not that the other original participants were great people too, but I just noticed a higher level of intensity and involvement and really thinking hard about what they've discovered and really putting themselves into it.
Early on, when we first came, in the very beginning, we were still cradled by the early planters and the early conceivers of this Chester Springs UU congregation that grew out of other congregations, and that's melted away. I mean, WellSprings is WellSprings these days, and yes, we are certainly thankful, and we'll never forget the efforts of the people who planted the church. It has really become its own thing at this point.
Yeah.
We've always said at WellSprings since the beginning that truly we want to be a kind of congregation in which people feel truly welcomed and invited in, even if they never belonged to a spiritual community before.
I can speak for myself and certainly say that I am a better human being on this earth because of WellSprings, because of the people at WellSprings, the connections I've made, the growth.
So one thing that hasn't stayed the same is us. We've grown. That's probably the biggest single thing.
Yeah.
So those are just a few of my answers to the questions of what WellSprings was like in the very beginning.
Hope it continues to evolve for another, how many years? 15 years or 14 more years, and we get to look back and see what all the cool things that have happened.
You good?
I think that's it.
Okay.
See you soon.
Welcome to WellSprings.
Hope it's helpful for you. Take care. Bye-bye.